You've decided to enter the fantastic world of coding, programming, and all that jazz. And what you're saying is that, great, I'm ready. So where do I begin? Should I teach myself how to code? Should I go to a boot camp? Should I go to college? A lot of choices, a lot of different answers. These are all my opinions. Depending on your situation, there's definitely some advantages to choosing one path over the other. Let's get started. Should you go to college? I'm gonna start right off the bat and just say no. In my opinion, if you are fresh out of high school, no. It's a lot of money, and I am very adamant about avoiding debt. I say that as somebody who collected a lot of debt in college for a major in a field that's kind of changing in the industry, and I'm changing now to programming and coding. I would highly recommend that depending on this particular field of computer science you're looking at, you don't necessarily need to go to college. You may not need to go to college at all. Yes, you really want that degree. Yes, there's a lot of greatness about that, but in my opinion, it's not worth it. And the thing is that you should be able to find a way to gather these skills without needing to spend thousands of dollars. It's just way too much. 4-year education, not worth it. And in my opinion, those gen eds, waste of time and money. Okay, that's a different rant. That's for a different day. So in my personal opinion, forget college, not worth it. Boot camps. Boot camps, I think, are a great option depending on your situation. Most of the boot camps out there, they do range in price between a few $1,000s to maybe 10, 20K. In either case, both of them are way cheaper than going to a 4-year college. It's still a lot of money to some people, even if it is only $5,000 or $2,500. A couple of things to think about when considering boot camps. Boot camps are, one, significantly faster than a college. So that's just great on its own, right? I mean, you can get in 3 months, 4 months, enough to go out in the working world and start looking for a job. At least that's what many of them quote. That's not bad. For $5,000, that's a pretty sweet deal. For $2,500, wow. A boot camp can or cannot work for you. If you're fresh out of high school, a boot camp is not a bad idea. It's honestly not a bad idea. The thing is that when you go to the boot camp, you need to treat it like it is a full-time job. That's the point of it. The point is that you're going to be coding, you're going to be working, you're going to be learning 40 hours a week, 50 hours, 60 hours, whatever you can. It's going to be treated like a full-time job with overtime. And that's great because you're going to be encompassed into that environment. Whether it's an online boot camp or it's one that has a physical brick and mortar location, you are going to really be engulfed and thinking about code constantly. And they're going to be teaching you everything from scratch. And for only a couple months, it's not a bad investment. And although I'm not a big fan of collecting debt, that is such a small debt by comparison. But more specifically, comparison's irrelevant. That's such a small debt that you can reasonably pay off fairly quickly. Like, you should be able to pay that off within the first year of working. Within the first year or two of working, depending on what your living situation is, you should be able to pay off that boot camp really fast. If you're somebody who's already in a career, if you can take the time off to go to a boot camp and increase your income, that's not a bad investment at all. It's a really good ROI, return on investment. What about teaching yourself how to program? Teaching yourself how to program is what I'd recommend personally to everybody. And here's why. If you're fresh out of high school, teach yourself how to program. There are plenty of tools and resources online. You can pay a couple bucks. I mean, go to Team Treehouse, Code School. There are different resources online that maybe cost a couple $100, maybe only like $30 a month. And you can learn so much so fast that it's like your own little personal boot camp. Yes, you need to be motivated on your own. Yes, you need to do this stuff on your own. It's not osmosis. Just because you pay for something doesn't mean you acquire the knowledge. It's economically, it's a great deal. If you can, why wouldn't you just give that a shot? I considered a boot camp, but the thing is that even the ones that I wanted to consider, they cost a couple $1,000s, which doesn't sound like a lot of money in the real world. However, given that me and my wife were already weighted with college debt, I would need to focus my time as if it was a full-time job. I could not justify that extra cost for the time I'm gonna have to take off of work to do that boot camp. I do understand some people say, well, there are other boot camps out there that are treated like part-time. At the end of the day, it just ended up becoming too much money, too much time. And time is money because I need to take time off to do it. For me personally, it wasn't the best option. For me, I didn't have a choice. I had to teach myself how to code. If I was going to learn this stuff, I had to teach myself. Looked online, I found tools, resources, started practicing. I went to the library, got some books, listened to different things related to code while driving in the car, practiced what if I could at work, scribbled things down as if it was a computer on a notepad, anything I could to keep reinforcing it throughout the day nonstop. Teaching yourself how to code has some great perks and some disadvantages. So the perks are you are going to learn how to teach yourself, and you're going to be in an industry that is going to require you to learn new things all the time. So being able to know how you can learn or how you can find the knowledge that you need to learn, that's important. You learn how to learn. By teaching yourself, you become motivated. Everything that you accomplish, every stupid example and practice test, any program that you've written is very satisfying because of the fact that you've created that from scratch. You developed something that did not exist before, and you taught yourself everything from scratch. That's really cool. It's a very empowering thing. One of the things that kind of doesn't translate when you go to school for this is that sense of you climb the mountain by yourself. If you're teaching yourself how to code, you might have a mentor. You might have a buddy like I did. I have a buddy who works in the field, and he was able to help me out with little pointers in the right direction. At the end of the day, there's a heavy load on you to go ahead and take on. And if you can accomplish this, you are really setting yourself up for success in the future, because you don't really worry about what new technology is coming forward. You don't really worry about, your safety net, because if for some reason your knowledge becomes inferior, you have the skills and resources to pick up something else that's brand new. And that is transferable across all languages, across all programs. There are many companies that don't care if you have a college degree anymore. A certification might help. If you can show your work, if you can show what you can produce, and you can show that you know what you're talking about, you're somebody who's passionate about it, you're somebody who likes it, being that you've taught yourself can speak volumes to what they can expect from you. A piece of paper is great, and obviously somebody with a piece of paper might have that knowledge. And I say might because I've heard mixed things. So what are the cons? Well, the cons are a little different based on the individual. Not everybody can teach themselves. It takes determination. You have to be a motivated individual. You also have to be somebody who can stick with a routine, who can build some sort of habit of constantly learning, and somebody who has the drive to keep pushing that on. It's not for everybody. And some people need the extra help with bricks and people surrounding them physically. That's better for some people. If that's you, that's completely fine. And if that's really the case, then I'd still suggest the bootcamp. You need to decide if your way of learning is so hinged on that it's worth the economic cost of doing that. Now, granted, depending on your situation too, the other advantage of teaching yourself how to code is that you might need to work for a living. You might have bills, you might have a house, an apartment, or whatever, right? You need to pay for that stuff. You need to survive. You can't just take a few months off, right? So with that being said, what you can go ahead and do if you're teaching yourself how to code is obviously you can fit it into your schedule. You can still invest in your education, whether it be through, Lynda, Treehouse, Code Academy, Code School, whatever the case is. There are different things out there that you can pay a couple bucks and get some knowledge dropped on you. You can work around the schedule that works for you and works for your personal life. When I was teaching myself how to program and I was kind of considering going to a boot camp, I was looking at some of the things that would be included in the boot camp. And I realized at a certain point I had learned so much that going to a boot camp just no longer was economically beneficial, because half of the course would be just repeating things that I already know and understand, and you're just paying money to sort of get like a certification so you can hope to get job placement afterwards. There's definitely great advantages to going to a boot camp. I'm just saying it's not for everybody. And there's definitely some advantages and necessities for going to a college. I'm just saying it's not for most people. It is just my opinion. there's really no right or wrong answer. If you want to hear me ramble some more, codechris.com/blog. And I think that's about it. Good night.